I received a question from Pat in Australia regarding contracting methods. He asked, is there any research to support and/or do you have a position on which models, for example, time and materials, unit rates, lump sum, produce the best overall outcomes in terms of managing risk, value for money, and driving efficiency improvements? I'm going to be largely reading a response to this because it's a fairly lengthy one. I don't know of any research analyzing contracting methods that's available in the for vegetation management that's available in the public domain. There have been a number of articles that tend to be more anecdotal, expressing utility experience in changing contracting methods and their satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the new method. Do I have a position? You bet. Let me first say a little bit about how my position arises. I spent 8 years in supervisory and management positions working for a contractor that covered all of Canada and part of the Northeast US. Based on this experience, when I worked as a system forester for a utility, I was asked to write the contract specifications. So let's start with generalities. If you work for a large organization, then there are processes in place to ensure that you buy a product or service that you are getting the best price. If the organization has any connection to government, then typically you have to solicit bids. The pressure to accept the lowest bid is enormous, especially if the bid process is handled by the purchasing department. This is problematic alone in the fact that it takes some of the control out of the hands of the people who are actually requiring the service. When you're contracting a vegetation management service, do you have an accurate estimate of what the job will cost? Why is that important? There's a cost to what you want. What do you want? Do you want to get the work done to your standards? Do you want it at a fair price or an unfair price? If you think you can get an unfair price, I'd have to say you're sadly mistaken. The contractor will either have to cut corners or face the fact that his ongoing viability is threatened by completing the contract. How does either of these outcomes serve you? The contractors draw from the same labor pool, deal with the same equipment dealers, fuel suppliers, and live under the same regulatory framework. How different can their prices be? At what point should you anticipate the need to cut corners? So, to the specifics. My preferred contracting method for vegetation management work is time and materials. Under time and materials, the contractor's responsibility is to meet your standards. The contractor is not penalized for doing so, but rather, while being compensated for doing so, earns your trust. Time and materials provides the greatest flexibility. Let's say during the term of the contract you want to increase the clearance to be attained when pruning, or to have more rigorous site cleanup. Under time and materials, this is not a problem, as the contractor is getting paid by the hour and stands to lose nothing. However, under a unit price or fixed price contract, such changes would impact contract costs and consequently would require a renegotiation of the contract or deferring the implementation of the new standard beyond the expiration of the current contract. All of the contracting methods can deliver similar outcomes if you recognize and address the risks inherent in each contracting method. One of the major issues when considering contracting methodology is to get a full accounting of the costs. The cost of the project or work is more than the contractor costs. What are the associated administrative costs? I examined this while working as a utility system forester. Our main method of contracting was time and materials. Remember I mentioned trust? Under time and materials, we as the utility inspected only 5% of the work performed and found it was statistically representative of the whole. That formed the baseline for administrative costs, and we were staffed to provide that level of inspection. We tried some unit price work. We found safety was compromised, and the quality of the pruning fell so sharply that it became necessary to check every work site. Over a couple of contracts and a couple of years, when we added the administrative costs, we found unit price work cost in a range of 5% more than our time and materials work. We also tried some fixed price or lump sum contracts. I need to say first that we estimated the price and we're not going to accept any bids that were 15% or more below that expectation, unless the contractor could show us the new approach that gave rise to the savings. Fixed price also required constant field supervision by the utility to ensure our standards were met. With this cost of the fixed price contracts generally were a couple of percent higher than time and materials. However, fixed price did lead to some new approaches. On one project that involved widening the right-of-way over Crown land, which necessitated the salvage of all logs, one contractor offered a substantially lower price. When we sought to understand how he could do this, he advised us he planned to use a feller buncher to remove the trees rather than chainsaws. We gave it a try to ensure it could be done safely given the line remained energized, and being satisfied awarded him the contract. My conclusion, having tried various contract types, is that time and materials was usually the least cost if you include all the associated administrative costs. Time and materials offers the utility the greatest flexibility. There is no reason for the contractor to cheat on safety or to provide anything less than the required quality of work. He is getting paid to safely provide the specified quality. There is one large caveat with time and materials. You need a productivity measuring system to know what contractors and what crews are delivering the most value. The hourly rate itself does not yield adequate insight. I've written about this in an article titled TransAlta Utilities Reporting System, a Management Tool. You can find that article by searching the Journal of Arboriculture and Urban Forestry site. You can also access it on the T&D Vegetation Management site. There will be a search box there, and you put in TransAlta Utilities Reporting System, and it'll show up in the list of articles that appear. Alternately, you can go to my website, which is www.ecosync.com. You will find a label there that is for articles, and you'll find it under there in a little bit more friendly version and in color. Using that system, we were able to demonstrate a 21% gain in productivity over 3 years, and that was subsequently sustained until we, the utility, changed the scope in an attempt to further improve customer satisfaction. On a fixed price contract, you are only concerned with the work being done within your time frame. Beyond that, the productivity is up to the contractor. You need to keep in mind that on a fixed price contract, the contractor can improve his bottom line if he completes the work in less time than he estimated in the bid. He may be able to do this legitimately, or by sacrificing work quality, completeness, and/or safety. It's advisable to have a heavy utility presence in the field to ensure safety and to check all work location for quality and completeness. As with the fixed price contract, on unit price contract, you need not be concerned about productivity. In this case, the contractor can improve his bottom line by increasing the units completed per day and the total units for the contract. Pressure to increase the units per day can result in crews sacrificing safety and quality. With a unit price contract, the utility does not know what it is paying for unless it has a very rigorous process for verifying the work units completed. You can say that the whole process of vegetation management is about risk management. At this higher level, the decisions that influence risk management are your standards and the maintenance cycle. All of the contracting methods adequately address this, if there is sufficient utility oversight to ensure the standards are met. If there's not sufficient utility oversight, then time and materials is the best approach for risk management, simply because there is no incentive for the contractor to skip work locations or to deliver anything less than the desired clearance and work quality.